republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the June 19th Fishers City Council meeting. We do have a couple announcements. Jocelyn?
Today is Juneteenth, and we commemorate the emancipation of enslaved African American people. Juneteenth is a U.S. federal holiday, and its name is a combination of June and 19th. Juneteenth celebrates June 19th, 1865, the official end of slavery in the United States, when the Union Army
Crystal?
Hi, this is one that I hold very dear to my heart, and I'm so proud to read this to you all. Policies we continue to refine. Fishers stands with the LGBTQ+ community and acknowledges the discrimination that so often impacts these individuals. This council has always stood in unity against LGBTQ+ discrimination. In 2016, we acted by proclaiming Fishers as a community that would not stand for discrimination of any kind stemming from a person's sex, race, color, nationality, origin, religion, disability, age, or gender identity. That dedication continues today, from standing alongside students and parents to advocate for comprehensive anti-discrimination policy within our school system, to instilling these policies into the city's operations. This Pride Month, residents should be comforted in the fact that your city, your public safety, and your community stands with LGBTQ+, and we welcome all.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have some presentation at service awards. Our first one is George Kale, 45 years. Wow.
Good evening, Council. For the record, Eric Pethel, Director of Public Works. I stand before you this evening with the honor of acknowledging a 45-year award, which so happens to be the longest one of its kind in our history in this organization. George Kell, former police chief and town marshal, was hired June 15th, 1978. If you count his 4 years prior to that as part-time status, we're talking nearly 49 years of continuous service for this community. George was hired by the City Council of the day, which was comprised of Walt Kelly, Roy Holland, and Bob Bowen. George was the first full-time police officer hired by the town of Fishers. He was responsible for hiring the first 105 sworn officers of the department. And as an outsider looking in, I think that's a hallmark of why we have such a world-class police force today, because his ability to identify talent and recruit them and keep them is really making what they are today. A few random bullet points of accomplishments during his tenure. RPD was one of the founding agencies of the Hamilton County Drug Task Force. After 9/11, they were one of the first local agencies that joined the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. They were on the ground floor of support for IMPD's Safe Streets initiative. They purchased their first K-9 in 1991. George graduated from the FBI National Academy in 1991 and served as that organization's Indiana chapter president in the year 2000. The department became accredited through CALEA, which is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, in 2003. They formed their Internet Crime Unit in 2006 under his care, it was I, and was the Sagamore the Wabash recipient in 2007 by then Governor Mitch Daniels. I've got 2 sheets here of single-space bullet point of accomplishments that the department and George received during his tenure, but at the risk of sounding like I'm reading his obituary, I'm going to move on. I'm just serious. Currently, George is a valued member of our department, the Department of Public Works, and he works in inventory control. And I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, with his can-do work ethic, is one of the reasons why that division accomplished 27,000 work orders in 2022, and they're on point to do it, to break that number in 2023. George is more than a longtime employee. He is a friend of many of us here, and I know you join me in thanking him for 45 years of service to this community.
I did.
George, congratulations. Our next award is a 30-year award for Scott Kale.
Thank you, Council. For the record, Chief Ed Gebhardt, number 52 of 105. Thanks, George, for that. We're here to recognize another Kale. Scott, could you come forward? So it's a legacy and it's a family thing, because many of the Kale families involved in public safety in one form or another. But Scott came to us. Where are you at, Scott? Scott came to us in 1993, in June of 1993, where he began his 30-year career for this city in public safety. He started as a patrol officer, and through working the streets and the road, he quickly moved into the detective unit where he worked investigations for this community. He returned to patrol some years later to return to supervision and supervising officers on the road. He's been involved in hostage negotiations. He's been involved in our intelligence and what it stands for today. And also, he has been an outstanding mentor to our youth in coaching both softball and baseball. In 2014, he's won the Distinguished Service Award, and in 2009, he won the Meritorious Award for Peril in the Line of Duty. So for 30 years, Scott, we thank you for all that protection and service. We applaud you, and I appreciate it.
Our next service award is a 25-year award for Barb Hathaway. Well, she may not be here this evening, so. She's here. Is she here? Barb, where are you? I'm right here. Oh, there you are.
I apologize. Our department head, I think, is out giving shots right now from the public health department. But Barb, I want to thank you for 25 years of service. I got to know Barb as an employee of the fire department. Many of you don't know this, but as we built out our EMS division, someone had to be responsible for ensuring the quality billing of all of those EMS runs. And Barb was always the person that you could turn to for not only a straight answer, but oftentimes a joke as well. Recently, Barb took on a new challenge. When we created our public health department, someone needed to step forward and take on the important role of vital records. And if some of you may not know what is required of vital records, but that could be someone in their most joyous moment getting a birth certificate, or it could be a family receiving a death certificate for someone they've just recently lost. And as we stepped into that role, Barb did an extraordinary job of building relationships with all the local funeral homes, the county coroner's office, and has been a compassionate human being for so many families in a very, very difficult time. So Barb, not only thank you for 25 years of service, but thank you for your willingness to evolve and adapt and meet the ever-changing needs of our growing community. Thank you.
Thank all three of you for your long service to our community, and we appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you very much. There were 4 public comments that were submitted before today's council meeting. Those were circulated around to our council members. Thank you those who did submit those comments. There are attached to our agenda the report from the Finance Committee and Health Department Engineering report for the record as well. Move on to have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Pete, a second by Selena. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Moving on to our regular agenda, the first item on it is item 8, R061923A, Community Center. Good evening, Jake.
Good evening, Council. For the record, Jake Reardon McSorley, Director of Recreation and Wellness for the City of Fishers. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and I am here to discuss a resolution you have in front of you for a future Fishers Community Center. I'm excited to provide some insight into this project and would be more than happy to answer any questions about it. Just to set up a little context, I think many of you are aware that this origin story for this project goes back many years. There's been a pent-up demand from residents for additional indoor amenities and recreation opportunities. Several private sector attempts at bringing a recreation center did not come to fruition for a variety of reasons. But for the last few years, the city has considered and contemplated whether this could be something it could take on to provide directly to the community. And for your consideration tonight, we think the time is right now. And the reason for that are really 5-fold. We think we can respond directly and successfully to community input and requests. We think we have a development of a great design that has a strong financial pro forma to back it up. We've identified a smart and central location. We're focused on complementing existing facilities, not competing. And we have an amazing center that the design is focused on inclusion for all residents and even their dogs. So in 2021, a couple years ago, Councilman Zimmerman had the opportunity to be tasked as the chair for a steering committee to explore this idea. And over the course of 6 months, his group did a lot of work, interviewed a variety of groups and stakeholders, and had a fairly robust response to a community assessment survey. That survey is transparent and on our website. Anyone can look at those results at any time. One of the questions that was asked, I think, is powerful, and that was, select the top recreational amenities you believe are lacking in the Fishers community. What you see on the screen are the top 15 answers as responded to by our residents, and in blue would be amenities that we would be poised to answer with this community center, and in green, we are ready to answer those calls with the future City Hall and Arts Center scheduled to be open next May. So really incredible when the community has specific requests and we can step up and say, here's the answer, we're bringing it to you. You asked for it and here it is. So I think it's important to understand location for this proposed facility, and we're looking here at really the intersection of 121st and Hoosier Road. And by design, this is really the bullseye center of our Fishers community. It is no more than a 10-minute drive time for any resident in any corner of our community. It is, to give you a little context, you can see Hoosier Road Elementary to the northwest there. And zooming in a little bit more, you can see the main entrance is scheduled to be really an extension of 121st Street with a secondary entrance to the south. We are contemplating a 25-acre total property. The building would be approximately 105,000 square feet. And there is a 2+ acre dog park allocated for the northwest corner of the property. Here's some renderings of the exterior. You can see just to the right of the flag, the main entrance. A theme you'll notice throughout the designs are natural light. There's a lot of natural light, and here you can see kind of a peek through to the interior, and really one of the, I think, many wow factors of this building. We have a 2-story indoor playground that you can see kind of as you walk up. You might also be able to see on the left side of this screen, it's a little harder, but there is a slide. And that is that's a water slide from our aquatic center. It penetrates the outside wall and comes back in. It's important to know what's inside the building as well, so you can kind of get a feel as you enter from the bottom what many of the amenities are. We're actually going to walk through it together here in a video fly-through in just a moment. But one central and important kind of concept, this is a membership-based model. It's open to anyone, residents, non-residents, anyone who'd like to join can do that. We do anticipate Fishers residents having a discount. And membership gives you access to every amenity included with this facility. However, it's also really important to note that there are 3 specific amenities that are available and free to anyone who comes in the doors, Fishers resident or not. Those 3 things are just to the bottom left-hand corner. You'll see a large playground structure. You saw kind of a sneak peek of that through the window. We'll get to see more of it soon. There's a large kind of cafe and gathering area. And then on our second floor, above the 3 indoor basketball courts, the athletic courts, there's a walking track. And all 3 of those are available and open anytime. The building will be open to anyone who'd like to enjoy the space. Give me just a moment, and they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a video is worth many more. So as we come in, you'll see some of the lines of sight in our lobby. To the right, we're really excited to have the Fishers Health Department have a home right front and center as you walk in the door. You'll right away start to see there's a lot of optics that kind of showcase the energy of the building. We'll kind of work our way around to the playground structure here. Again, open and free to anyone. Approximately 5,300 square feet. That is really about the same size as Brooks School Park playground, but indoors. We will have several different nodes for different ages, so they can play safely alongside of each other. And that is anchored by that 3-tower system that is really kind of a wow factor that you can go up and kind of check out. Here in the lobby, the reception area would be where you could register for a swim lesson or sign up for a tour of the building or membership. Swinging back through one more time, you'll see our large gathering area anchored by our cafe partner. And we're working on some exciting opportunities for a partnership. There's a variety of furniture here, some just relaxing, some good for eating or getting work done on a laptop, lots of good visibility into the pools, natural light. And we envision residents kind of getting coffee with neighbors, having a bite before or after a program, really kind of building community in those meals before and after using the space. Now we're sort of in the membership area. You would check in, kind of head down this hallway. We're going to get to the pools. Before that is the locker rooms. This is a different locker room than most are used to. Rather than a men's and women's, we have a series of universal individual locker rooms. Really great for accessibility and privacy. 2 large bodies of water. We have a 4-lane cool water lap pool. We also have a warm water, 0-depth entry recreation pool. It's great with all the accessibility options of dual handrails. We're going to have a water wheelchair. It's great for arthritis classes. Also fantastic for starter swim lessons and open swim. There's going to be various splash elements. There's going to be a slide that we can turn on and off. All those things for swim lessons. We can turn them off. For open swim, we can turn them on. Now we're exploring the child care center, which does make up a significant part of our footprint. Fishers continues to be a young community, and demographically speaking, we want to answer that call. So we will have up to 2 hours of free child care provided with membership for really ages 6 weeks up to 12 years. Different spaces for all of those ages, and excited to provide that. And we really want it to be something exciting that kids drag their parents into the community center to check out. We'll come out here and head down the back hallway where we have access to all 3 of our athletic courts. And those courts are able to do many things. So they're set up to be either full-size basketball courts. We have standards that come down for the ceiling for 3 full-size volleyball courts. We have curtains that can kind of be raised or lowered to separate or create one large space if we wanted to have a big event. We can do cross-court basketball, and of course there's going to be the ability to have up to 9 indoor pickleball games going on at the same time. Thank you for the smattering of applause. You can catch a glimpse above us as we're about to walk through the door. That's the indoor walking track. We'll get a better view of that later. Down the front hallway now, we have a series of 3 smaller program rooms that can be opened up to be one larger space like you see it now, or individually used. We envision a lot of community use for these, everything from seniors playing cards for their clubs to CPR trainings to enrichment camps, and we also have a very exciting partnership with a group called Outside the Box that we'll learn about more later, and that would be their home. On the other side of the hallway, we have another large multi-purpose program room. There's a couple different conference rooms, the health department and staff rooms, bathrooms, and we work our way back up to the front here. There is a second floor. So to get to the second floor, there's either the grand staircase approach or there's a accessible elevator option as well. Either way, you wind up in the same kind of second floor lobby where you can check in again as a member, or we'll show it later, you can do access the walking and running track. We have about a little under 13,000 square feet of fitness floor here, really everything you could ask for, a large variety of cardio equipment, strength equipment, functional fitness equipment. Straight ahead, you'll see some windows. There's actually an opportunity for a phase 2 development of an outdoor terrace where we could work out. You'll see on the right side a cycle studio with a number of bikes. Again, really nice natural lighting there. There's a turf floor, personal trainers and members can use for a variety of functional fitness opportunities. And not only great views of the exterior and natural light coming in, but there's also great views kind of to see the rest of the building. So as we head back down this corridor where the cardio equipment is, you can see on the left, you would get a view out to the walking track and gyms. On the right, you would get a view down into the pools. We have a few intake and screening rooms, staff rooms on the left here. And then we're going to meander into our group exercise studios. Those are really important, huge builder of community. We expect a robust schedule with around 100 classes a week. We have a smaller studio and a larger studio. There's going to be a plethora of formats, something for everyone, all ages and abilities. And those also have really great lines of sight. So you can see here, you'd be able to look down to the pool, outside. We really want to provide an escape, somewhere where our residents can just have some peace, have some fun, and kind of forget about their day-to-day. As we walk back out the main entrance for the membership area, we'll kind of go across the lobby to the indoor track. And again, this would be free of charge. So anyone can really access this anytime the building's open, no membership required. It's dual lane, extra wide, so the thought would be you could be shoulder to shoulder talking with someone if you're walking, or you could be running certainly. And we're really excited to bring this specific amenity to this design. It was the #1 rated amenity lacking in that survey. And so to be able to deliver on that, we're really excited about. You can see we kind of wander back around and get to see a little bit more of the top lobby and the bottom lobby. And really, to me, this is a world-class design. It's going to be vibrant. It's going to be exciting. It's going to have something for everyone, families, students, young adults, seniors, really all ages. But the secret sauce is the community it's going to build and strengthen. It's going to bring people together. And through that togetherness, we're going to be stronger. We are going to have some specific senior programming opportunities. Recreation-wise, either in the pools or in the Group X studios, we're going to have a variety of fun programming partnerships as well as membership partnerships. and social opportunities. And I would just like to give a special shout out to Councilwoman Coble. She connected us with the Fishers Committee on Disability, and based on specific input we received from that group, we were able to add some very specific updates that I think make a big difference. So some examples of that would be an adult changing table, adaptive exercise equipment, handrails, dual handrails into the zero depth pool, the water wheelchair I mentioned, those universal locker rooms, a sensory room in our child care, and auto doors. Rather, the original design was a push button, but we have motion sensor kind of easier access doors now. So very excited about that. And then finally, I touched on it, I didn't really explain it much. We do have an MOU with Outside the Box. And if you're not familiar with them, they do great work. They're a day program for adults with disabilities. Unfortunately, it's been difficult for them to find a home in Fishers. Recently, they were able to find a temporary home. We're excited to provide a more permanent home. So the idea would be this would be a Monday through Friday partnership for several of our rooms, kind of in the middle of the day when it makes sense for all parties. And we think it's going to be a powerful partnership. But I did bring a friend today, a guest speaker. She's right over there. Kelly Hartman, if you haven't met her, co-founder of Outside the Box. I asked if she would maybe just share for a moment what a community center like this might mean to our community and really to the disability community. This is the end.
Oh, this is the end. I bet we wish we were. So just briefly, as a Fishers resident for 19 years, I've enjoyed being a part of a community that's grown from a town to a city. And now we're a community thriving into our mission to be smart, vibrant, and entrepreneurial. Did I get that right, Mayor? Okay, good. As a parent sending twin 18-year-old boys off to college this fall, I can attest to the wonderful school systems, outdoor sports facilities, and a growing network for runners, walkers, and bikers. And our parks department is pretty amazing. Raising a family here continues to be a blessing. I really do love Fishers. But aside from being a mom, as Jake referred, I am part of the Fishers Advisory Committee on Disability as the co-chair with Councilor Coble. And I'm actively engaged in a group of people that we haven't yet been able to truly integrate, but we're making great strides. We always talk about inclusion, but your support of the Fishers Community Center at Johnson Farm is really a clear step towards what's true belonging. We desperately need a place where we can all play together and recreate together. People of all abilities, all ages can come together for this opportunity, a place we can experience the diversity of one another and celebrate that sense of belonging in our own hometown. As the co-founder of Outside the Box, a program for people with intellectual developmental disabilities that Jake referred to, I'm going to try not to cry. I am thrilled that we'll have the opportunity to share in this community space as a meaningful partner and collaborator for the Community Center initiative. Thanks to the leadership of Mayor Fadness and this council, we're welcoming the first ever full-time day program for people with disabilities to Fishers. From daily living skills to an art program, a choir, and post-high school career development, Outside the Box is a much-needed amenity, and because of your invitation, we will be starting our program here in Fishers on July 10th of this year. To help people who learn differently live into the dream of a Fishers program, I hope that you'll all give favorable consideration to this initiative and awesome project. It's your leadership that continues to allow all of us to feel a sense of belonging in a place that we call home, and I really appreciate your support. Thanks.
So thank you for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about anything.
I have just a couple questions, and Jake, you may not be able to answer this, and looking at, I'm starting to think about how do we make this happen, and looking at Hoosier Road and how's this all going to fit together. Maybe it's a question for Jason and their team is, I'm supportive of the project, but also want to understand how we're going to move traffic up and down Hoosier Road and make sure it operates effectively. So that's kind of my first question, and me talking with neighbors and constituents in my district about this.
Yeah, I think Jake has spent a great deal of time with all of our teams within the organization to make sure that we can do this and do this well. And so the resolution before you tonight that contemplates the $60 million, that includes any road improvements that we feel would be necessary to Hoosier Road to improve that as well. So we believe that more than likely there needs to be some sort of intersection improvement, either a stoplight or a roundabout, kind of yet to be determined, at the entrance point to this to make sure that we can handle traffic safely and effectively in that area. But all of that is included and encompassed in that not to exceed number.
And childcare, elder care are part of this as well, correct?
Yes, yeah, childcare is included in membership. Yep.
Okay. Other questions from the council?
Only up for 2 hours, John. So when you have your grandkids, it's not a full drop off. It's only for 2 hours.
Well, I'm thinking my son gets, when I get older and my son takes me there, he'll go
There you go.
exercise. Other questions from council?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So, Scott, you mentioned it's not to exceed 60 million, because I think when we hear 60 million, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. It is not to exceed 60 million. It is a significant amount of money. We have been planning for this for some time. So several years ago, I guess probably 3 years ago now, we talked about these kind of cornerstone projects, and one of our commitments was that we would not raise taxes in order to accomplish that, or City Hall and the community center, and we've held true to our financial strategy. So we're doing a build, operate, transfer agreement for a period of time, and as debt rolls off, this will come on, and so we will not be having to increase our tax rate in order to accomplish paying for this facility. But it is a lot of money in today's construction environment. You know, it's expensive, and also this is a pretty dynamic facility. When you're talking about all of the, and Jake knows far more about this than I do, but when you start talking about all the pumps and associated with the pool and things of that nature, the per square foot cost of these facilities are higher than what you would think of like a standard office building. But I think Jake spent the better part of a year of value engineering to try to get the most bang for our buck, and I feel confident not only that we're getting a great facility, but Jake also was able to acquire enough land for us to really have some space for like the dog park. For years, I've heard Fishers residents talk about we need a dog park, and now we're going to be able to bring that to fruition. And what I love about this particular location, it's centrally located. So from all four corners of Fishers, they can reach that in a fairly quick fashion. So all in all, I do agree it's a significant sum of money, but the return on value is significant as well.
I have a quick question. How does our trail system connect with this? So that way, you know, I have a dog that needs to be worn out, and to walk it to the dog park and get it worn out and make it walk home is a good thing. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I mean, you're going to have people that want to bike there and different things like this. How does our trail system connect with this so that way it can be utilized by families?
Yep. So 2 answers to that. First, internally for the 25 acres of this property, we do envision having some trails available on that property as they connect to the rest of the community. I live very close to this proposed location, and I will tell you there's some great trails and there's some missed connections. We're actually right now in the midst of a trail and greenway study that we think is going to be very informative to help us find the highest priority trails to improve and connect. We think that's a very important priority for all. There's about 3,400 family units or homes within a mile radius of this. So I think a lot of people are going to walk their dogs, go on a bike ride, walk themselves, go on a run to get to this amenity, and we want it to be safe. So that's going to be part of what we were talking about with kind of evaluating infrastructure. There's going to be some work to be done. That said, projection would be somewhere around April to June of 2025 that this would open. So we have a little bit of time to do that.
Great.
Will that video be posted on the website?
It already is.
Thank you very much for Jake for all you've done. He has worked very, very hard on this, and kudos. I mean, we got this data from the residents. What I love about this is this was dreamed up by the residents, and then you've just helped craft this together to be something that is tangible, and it's exciting. One thing I just remembered was a few years ago, Jason Taylor and I went and spoke at Hoosier Road Elementary, and the kids were talking about, and the teachers were, about a crosswalk. I don't know if you remember that, Scott, we talked about years ago, and I literally just thought about that. So I really feel it is important for that connectivity, especially with the school somehow, so that, you know, the teachers can bring students over there, or right after school or something, the parents can, and they can walk there, because it would be so close instead of getting in a car and driving. So I just think we need to make sure we take in consideration those things as we're building this out. But my neighborhood is right there adjacent, so we have a few neighbors that would like to talk to us right along there just about the buffering. They're really excited about it. They're just concerned about the buffering. So,
Yep. And we have a community information night scheduled, a Zoom meeting that is coming up in the next 10 days. And we're going to share all that information, answer any questions, respond to whatever the community might have to say.
Jake, I got here a little late. You may have touched on this. How does this not compete with the YMCA?
Yeah.
I've asked, some people have asked those questions.
Yep, it's a fair question. And honestly, there's several other like providers that would have similar amenities, maybe not all of the same. What I would tell you is if you looked at a map of Fishers, by design, a best practice in that industry is to really be on a major highway or artery so that you can get as much traffic to your door as possible. And so most of those like providers are either off of State Road 37 or Allisonville. And if you gaze to the east, there's really nothing of this magnitude or even close to it east of 37. And really, you know, the exact location where this will be is kind of what has been referred to as a desert of amenities, kind of right in the middle of the city. That there's kind of signature parks on the east side and the west side, and really in the middle, we're missing a little bit of that. So it addresses those two things. The other thing that I would say is the Fishers YMCA is a great organization, and we have a statement of support actually from the executive director there. I think there's a recognition that our community has continued to grow. When the Fishers Y originally opened, the population of Fishers, it was a town, was 30,000. 21 years later, we're 101,000. I think there's more than enough to go around, and I think everyone in that industry feels the same way.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you've put into this, and thank you for including the disability community. I know that they had many meetings with you to give feedback, and it's huge to have an accessible amenity like this in our community, and to have the first day program located in Fishers. We don't have a physical day program located in our community right now of over 100,000 people. So the community, the disability community is very excited for Outside the Box to come to Fishers. So thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. It's my pleasure.
Other questions?
Yes. Thanks, Jake. Like so many citizens, I'm really excited about this project. It is stunning. And since the announcement came out last week, just the whole community is buzzing about it. So I share the excitement of the promise of the new community center, and I want it to move forward. So forgive me, I'm going to look at my notes, because I'm also going to keep my feet on the ground, keep my enthusiasm in check, and make sure that we're doing the right thing in a fiscal way.
Sure.
That's what this body's for. So I want it to move forward in the right, and I want it to move forward, but in the right way, responsibly, right? So, friends, I'm recommending that this resolution just be postponed for another month for a full financial review by Finance Committee and this body, and the opportunity for public comment to happen. The resolution in front of us, I'm going to read it because it's only a few words, but it says a lot. The resolution says, "This council hereby approves development and construction of the City of Fishers Community Center, a concept plan for which is attached hereto and incorporated herein. The council hereby approves up to $60 million for design, construction, and land acquisition for the community center. This mayor is hereby authorized to take such further action and execute such necessary documents to design and construct the community center." That is the resolution in front of us. As I said, few words, but huge impact. So before this body approves $60 million to be allocated to this amazing project, I just want to be sure we do our due diligence. For what that means for me is just overall budget planning in a big picture sort of way. We're on the cusp of planning our budget for next year anyway.
Yep.
So I just want to get this online and not jump ahead of overall budget planning. I'm concerned about the overall debt that will be incurred, and I know there's been thoughtfulness here. I just received some data on that today, but there's a lot to consider. We have over $30 million in cash reserves, so I want to understand how that has informed the financial plan. The city has decided to pause State Road 37 and 141st Street because of cost factors. So I just want to be sure that we are looking at the big picture and accomplishing must-haves before needs to have. And frankly, just doing this very responsibly. And again, most importantly, I want to be sure our public has a chance to have their voice in this step, this phase, right? I am so grateful that we had our community speak into the vision for this. I want to be sure we close the circle and be sure that we get the public involved in this crucial component, which is the fiscal matter, make sure neighbors who are adjacent to the property have a chance to speak into it before this body approves really the green light, and then the city council, frankly, has a very minor role in the details. So if I may, I'd like to make a motion to continue the conversation and bring it back next month for a full consideration of the resolution, which must include a complete fiscal picture.
Okay, well, I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion because I'd like to see the budget and how that looks. I really love the project, and I think that we've got a lot of great ideas and things. I just want to see the numbers.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh. Those opposed, nay.
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 I abstain. Have to do a roll call.
Let's do a roll call.
John Weingart,
Nay.
Cecilia Coble. Nay. Pete Peterson,
Abstain.
Brad DeRamer,
Nay.
Selena Stoller,
Nay.
Todd Zimmerman,
Nay.
Jocelyn Vare,
Aye.
Crystal Newman,
Aye.
David Giffel.
Nay.
The motion passes.
No, it doesn't
No.
pass.
I mean,
Fails.
the passes, yeah, the motion fails. I'm sorry.
Okay, that motion fails. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
I have a
Second.
I have a motion by Todd, a second by Selena.
John, just let me jump in here real quick. I'm abstaining because my employer is a design partner in this transaction, so.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and do a roll call vote again?
Can we open it up for conversation before this final vote? I just would like to make the comment that if we're moving forward, then I will fully expect for budget, as we move forward in budget consideration planning for 2024, that this is factored in and we get a full picture of debt, cash reserves, all the implications of this huge project must happen.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm in agreement just because it's
we do
60
that every year.
million.
Well, I think, just like, what night was it? Wednesday night when you were there, Councilwoman Vera, with the Finance Committee, and the fiscal plan was shared. And actually, the debt associated with this project has been in the fiscal plan dating back to the prior fiscal year.
Right, it's changed though.
Not a
Yeah.
great deal.
It-
And so we're happy to share all that information. I just think the idea of portraying this as the fact that the Finance Committee didn't do some sort of diligence on this is probably a little bit misrepresentative.
I
I
did not
think they
say
are-
that, but excuse me. I was very happy to attend the
Good.
financial fiscal committee meeting, and we did receive a presentation, and I did ask for the backup data that some of it I just received today. So again, like $60 million, I don't think we can overthink it too much. I think we can be very precise and very cautious and very certain.
Roll call vote, please.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. You know, last year, I looked at the budget. You're 3 years out, Scott, and we saw the numbers. So for me, I felt comfortable with what you proposed. And, at the Finance Committee, we did go over operational expenses. And
This is what
No,
we received, right?
I have a picture of a spreadsheet that was on there.
It's okay, it's
Yeah.
just maybe that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
Fair?
So, I took a picture so I could kind of analyze and take a peek at it. But I feel very comfortable with this. The one question they didn't answer is that if we sell the bond, will it be a AAA bond? And I, you know, I thought you may be able to answer that.
We certainly hope so, but we also, because we're being thoughtful about this debt strategy, right now the interest rate environment is not ideal. So we're doing short-term lending as in anticipation of that interest rate plateauing and if not going down. So that's all part of a long-term strategy here to ensure we're maximizing the value of the taxpayer dollars.
Let's do a roll call vote, please.
John Weingart,
Aye.
Cecilia Coble,
Aye.
Pete Peterson,
Abstain.
Brad DeRemer,
Aye.
Selena Stoller,
Aye.
Todd Zimmerman,
Aye.
Jocelyn Vare,
I'm supportive of the project, have questions about the fiscal implications, so I'm a nay today.
Crystal Newman,
Aye.
David Giffel. Aye. The motion passes.
Jake, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for everything.
Todd and Cecilia, for all your hard work on this as well. Moving on to economic development, request to approve annual abatements. Item 9 on the agenda.
Good evening, Council. For record, my name is Jordan Willie. I'm the Assistant Director of Economic Development. So with this resolution, this is regarding the annual compliance of our tax abatements that we have. Currently, there are 23 active abatements, 21 of which are in substantial compliance per the SB1s that have been agreed upon. The 2 that are not are Republic Services and Sitel. They did not claim their abatement this year. And then we did have 1 new abatement roll on this year, which was 7 Auto. So with that, I recommend that these CF1s be approved.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by Todd.
Questions?
Yes.
On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them have not met their commitment. How come we're approving them?
So they have through the year, most of them are through the year 2023 or future years down the road. So that still allows them to meet that commitment.
So this column that says met actual is not just for this year?
Correct. So some of them, as you will see, there are when the abatements end. So for example, year 2027 or something of that effect, they have through that year to get those job requirements met.
Okay, so if we approve this tonight, and December 31st they don't meet it, they're still getting it for next year.
We have clawbacks, I believe, in every one of these agreements, don't we?
I can speak to that a little bit. So Brad, by the end of the year, they'll report their next year. So we'll do this exact same thing in June of next year for the entirety of December 31st, 2023 is when they have that date. So we would approve them next year. So if they're not in substantial compliance then, that's when we would go back to the obligations and the clawbacks that we put in each of those economic development agreements. And then this body would determine what sort of action they would like to take.
Okay.
Yeah, Brad, so we entered into clawbacks a while back when we didn't have those clawbacks in there for the exact purpose of what you're talking about, right? They continue to say they're gonna meet something, then they don't meet something. We keep giving them time to meet that, and they don't. So that's why all those clawbacks were put in place back, I don't know, John, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I do. Jordan?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is the first time that I've seen companies who have received tax abatements from us not fill out their CF1 forms. And can you say the significance of that again? That does not mean they haven't done their homework. That means they have decided not to, realize their tax abatement? Can you explain that just a little bit?
Yeah, so the ones that did not fill out their forms, such as Republic Services or Sitel, they're not able to claim that abatement with the city nor the county.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 10 on the agenda, request to approve a declaratory resolution on Point Innovation. Item 10 on the agenda. Good evening, Megan.
Good evening. For the record, Megan Baumgartner, Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Fishers. So last month, the City Council approved the Economic Development Agreement for the On Point Innovation Building off of 126th Street in our Life Science and Innovation Park. So there was an abatement that was provided for that, just like what Jordan just presented. To be able to establish and finalize the abatement process, there's a two-step process. So there's a declaratory resolution that declares a property as an economic revitalization area and is eligible for companies to receive abatements. And then there's a confirmatory resolution. So tonight we have the declaratory resolution for the On Point Innovation property. And again, this is off of 126th Street. And since this body approved it, this step and the following step is more procedural. But then also in your packet, you'll see that they submitted their statement of benefits as well. That is in alignment with the Economic Development Agreement terms. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Megan?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Pete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second motion by Pete, second by Selena. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Item 11, request to approve a project agreement for Pure Pharmacy.
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited tonight to be able to share a new company that is coming to Fishers. The company is Pure Pharmacy. They're currently located in Carmel. It is a Fishers-based couple who owns the company. And a woman-owned business, and they are here tonight, and I'll ask them to come up in a few minutes. But just to share a bit about this company, so as I mentioned, they are currently based in Carmel. They have a retail location and a small footprint for their personalized compounding that they do. And so they have outgrown that space and are experiencing significant growth and are really interested and excited to join the Fishers community in our life science industry. From our perspective, from the city side, what's really exciting as well is, as we mentioned, we've filled up our Life Science and Innovation Park, and we're really looking to continue to brand ourselves in Fishers as a life science and innovation corridor. So being able to pull in this property off of 96th Street and Masters Road and have that footprint of another life science company is really exciting. The property that's shown in blue is the area where Patch Development is currently constructing their corporate headquarters. Pure Pharmacy will lease 21,000 square feet in that facility, really setting them up for continued and extra growth. So they intend to really not relocate any employees here and just start fresh with their expanding business. They anticipate probably a year-long build-out to go into this space. We're, again, very excited to have Fishers residents, a woman-owned business, and another life science company here. So I would love to have someone from the company come up, share a few words.
My name is Amy McDonald from KSM Location Advisors, and I am not from the company, so I am not the person that you want to hear from tonight, but just wanted to say thank you to the council, to the city, to Megan, the mayor. They're always so great to work with. We're excited to be here with Pure Pharmacy to, request this first step from you.
Thank you, Amy. I'm Ryan Hayes, co-owner of Pure Pharmacy. My wife, Linda, the owner, is here tonight as well. We're very excited about this opportunity. Want to thank the Economic Development Council, Megan's team, the mayor, and the city council for your consideration for this opportunity. Like Megan said, we're a compounding pharmacy, and we're very excited to be part of the Fishers Life Sciences story. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Megan?
For the official request and consideration for City Council, we're requesting a 5-year personal property tax abatement. So this is the first step, again, approving the Economic Development Agreement. If approved, we're requesting the next step, which is, in the next item, the declaratory resolution. And then at the bottom of the screen, it's the breakdown. So they're expecting $2.5 million in eligible personal property. So again, just the breakdown of that. Considering depreciation schedules and then that abatement schedule as well. So it would be a sliding scale, 100, 80, 60, 40, 20.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Pete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Selena. Any other questions? Not? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to item 12. Declaratory resolution.
Yes, so just like what was just approved for On Point, this is the declaratory resolution for the property where Pure Pharmacy will lease space. This is establishing the economic revitalization area so then the abatement can continue to move forward. And again, next month we'll bring forward the confirmatory resolution for the property as well.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Heath. Do I have a second? Second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, Megan. Moving on to the next item. Item 13, request to approve a projects agreement with City View.
Yes, so before we get to that specific project agreement, it was brought to our attention that maybe we haven't done a thorough review recently of our nickel plate district and the vision that has been set forward with this entire redevelopment that we've seen and experienced over the last really decade, but also what you'll find out is it's been much longer and in the works for that. So we were able to pull this great presentation from the 2013 February Plan Commission meeting to go through what downtown redevelopment, how we envisioned it. And what's incredible is that the image that you see on the left-hand side, that was done in 2012. So that is pretty close to what we have experienced and what we've seen within our city. But what you can see also, what was surprising to me as well as we did our extra research on this, the initiative and the decision to redevelop our downtown and to create a core of our community started in 1992. So really, again, these different evolutions of this. So 2001, a town center development plan, being able to create a central green and a central space for our community. 2011 or 2022, redesignating that as a town center and what that zoning and use looked like within our city. 2011 is when the Fishers Town Center key concepts and design guidelines were created. And then all of this culminated, and what this presentation shows is a downtown 2030 master plan that was created. What's really, really exciting about this is if you look in the nickel plate code, this is actually chapter 9 of that nickel plate code. So we've been able to incorporate this into everything that we've done. But what I really wanted to do was walk through what all we did in 2013 that helped set the stage for it, because it's pretty exciting. And I also think there's a, excuse me, a bit of a misperception that we haven't done a lot of due diligence here. So downtown redevelopment. Again, this was a picture from the planning sessions that we hosted. So all these happened in 2012. There were 3 public open houses, and again, you can see the numbers there of how many residents, business owners, interested parties were able to join that. So really a ton of community input, and again, this is in 2012. It wasn't like we had a lot of people living down here right now, but there were business owners that were a part of this, and really were able to hear their desires, their wishes for our core downtown development area, and be able to incorporate all of that. The other thing that I thought was really insightful, and I think we've applied really well, are these guiding principles of elevating the baseline of quality of all future growth, embracing the contribution of the pedestrian access to a vibrant downtown. Our nickel plate trail is exactly that, and all these developments that we've created is really focused on that pedestrian connectivity. Balancing economic requirements with social benefits. That is what you all get to approve every single meeting for our redevelopment projects. Allowing for adaptability and flexibility. Again, you look at 1992, 2001, 2002, 2011, there are so many iterations, and I have a slide in here in a couple minutes showing the different iterations that this body has adapted to be flexible with as we've seen redevelopment occur. Integrating current uses with future uses, and then again, increase connectivity throughout the downtown area. So again, that conceptual master plan, and I have a slide in a minute that you can see the progression of where we started, where we're at right now of our true aerial, and it is pretty incredible how much of a side-to-side and actualization you've actually seen in that area. So one, I think, discrepancy and perhaps a bit of a misunderstanding is that this code or this master plan doesn't live anywhere. So all of this of the 2030 plan, the slide on the right, it shows it's about creating a form-based code. So we, through all of that public input, information sessions, open houses, one-on-one meetings, our team and the direction from council was to create a form-based code specifically for our core downtown area, our nickel plate district. And so those are the tenets of what we were tasked with doing to be able to create this nickel plate district and create our nickel plate code. And so again, just wanted to grab some screenshots. All of this is within our website. It's all on multiple platforms. Our team, my team, utilizes this when we review different projects and looking at each project through the lens of this master plan that was adopted through this nickel plate code. And again, what I think is really incredible, this is an existing chapter in our nickel plate code. And the other part too, I encourage you, if you haven't taken a look at it, on the right-hand side, that far screenshot is all of the public engagement that has gone into creating this code. So again, this is all here. This has been in the nickel plate code since we adopted it, and is a really, really good reminder of how much community input went into what we're doing today. And again, this is the slide that's really incredible. So far left-hand side is our 2014, this was from 2013. The concept plan, again, that came from all of that collective community input. In the middle, those are our current boundaries as of today, as of 8 o'clock on Monday. But what you're actually approving and you had a first reading for and went through Plan Commission and received favorable recommendation for is expanding our nickel plate district into the areas that you see today. So again, it's been quite a transformation. I'm happy to share this as part of our presentation or part of the materials for City Council's consideration. But I encourage you to do a side-by-side of what has been set out in a vision, what those uses are and our goals for it, and how today what we're seeing and what we have done absolutely reflects that vision that started in 1992. The other piece of this as well, of not feeling that people understand the vision, the nickel plate code, again, where this document lives, where it breathes, adaptability and flexibility is a core tenet of that. So this has been amended and approved by City Council in December of 2014, September of 2015, April of 2016, September of 2016, March of 2017, February of 18, 19, and then tonight for your consideration. So this is a living, breathing document that I really do think that it's misrepresented as not existing and not being a part of what we look at. So all of that, and then setting the stage for what's next for tomorrow. The areas that you see that you haven't seen redevelopment, so I would say mostly the Village Center that's south of here, all of that is what we are looking at for how we can incorporate and how we would guide redevelopment within the city based off of those designations. So if somebody wants to look at what's next, that is where you can go. And then again, those uses of what we would want to see in that area, all of that lives in that document based off of those uses. Before I get to the two big projects, wanted to also review, because the narrative of the vision and then the small business impact, those are the two things that I hear often. So on the left-hand side, it was what I'm calling the legacy small businesses. So this goes back to the 2013, when redevelopment on the east side of the Nickel Plate Trail really started. So at that time, and we've done a thorough audit, there were 29 small legacy businesses there. If you go back to the old slide, or if you go through GIS and do an aerial history of it, you'll see that there were lots of little houses in that area. So some were owned by residents, some were owned by small businesses. So there were 29 in the area from Lantern Road, where commercial connects to it, all the way down to the south side of South Street. Since that time, throughout our evolution and our redevelopment, 26 of those businesses have decided to stay in Fishers. So 3 of those left or closed. And then of those 26, and again, back to the 29 original legacy businesses, 21 of those have decided to relocate and are currently within our Nickel Plate District. So we have incredible businesses that have decided to be part of the redevelopment and to be part of that change. Now a snapshot of our existing our small businesses today. So our pie chart, again, we have our 21 legacy nickel plate district businesses. One of the things that I'm excited about, one of the projects tonight, is these small business studios and what we've seen and been able to generate and bring new companies into this space. There are 3 available currently within the nickel plate station project. So that is on the north side of 116th Street, where Patachu is going, and Angelo's, all of those small businesses and retailers. There are 10 more of those spaces. And then the new businesses new small businesses we've been able to bring into the nickel plate district. And that's been 14 to date. And then again, there was a question about retail small businesses. So we have 15 retail small businesses that have stop by traffic that pedestrians can stop into, restaurants, coffee shops, boutiques, all of that is there. And again, with these additional 10 small business studios, we're just continuing to expand those opportunities for small businesses. I've done a lot of talking, but I think that context is really important and sets the stage for these 2 really exciting projects for tonight. So south of 116th Street, I tried to zoom in on that concept plan. Again, from the 2013 concept plan, to show these 2 areas that we're going to be talking about for proposed projects tonight. The first is the area in blue. I didn't do a good job choosing colors for this, but the area in blue is just south of 116th Street between Moore and Lantern Road down to South Street. And then the second project is in the area in red. The development teams for both of these project areas are no strangers to anyone here. And so I'm really going to let them be able to share the majority of the information tonight, but wanted to set the stage for, again, these properties that we're talking about, and let them share that information. Excuse me. The other thing that I wanted to mention, we've been doing a lot of the assessed value breakdowns of different redevelopment projects. I felt like I had contained and provided enough words and slides, but I do think it's important to note that between these 2 redevelopment projects, there will be $189,000 per year of new value in taxes to our schools just based off of the referendum amount. So as we start talking about the impact of these projects, I think that's important to be able to help set the stage. So without me talking anymore, I'm going to invite, thanks Pete, but you were awake the whole time, so it had to have been at least a little entertaining. Yeah, I do. So I'm going to ask Tom Dickey with Hageman Higher Ground to come up and provide his presentation.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Pete.
I don't think I've heard you talk that fast.
Me?
I have, but I've known Megan a lot longer.
The projects where you did the SBF, remember that? That was funny. I wish you'd remember that? It was the sunscreen or whatever. Yeah, that was.
I mean, I'm always happy to make jokes. I don't think the mayor would always want me to make my jokes. I can't see what I'm. Am I on it?
Left. Right there. Oh, right there. Thank you, Megan. Good evening, Council. I'm just thrilled to be here tonight. My name is Tom Dickey. I'm president of High Ground, which is a subsidiary of Hageman, a family office headquartered in Carmel, Indiana. Steve and Sandy Hageman are sitting behind me, and a couple of key team members from our High Ground development team as well, Mark Brannaman and Steph Kilpatrick. So we're super excited about this project. We've been focusing on active adult development now for almost 2 years, thinking about the concept and where it fits in. We really think there's lots of ways to think about it. There's been a missing middle. There's been just housing, needs that have not been met, and we think this is one of them. We're super excited that we're now focused on that product. And even before I get into my presentation, which you'll see a slide which I did not know that Megan was going to show those slides, but I have one of those slides that she had from back in the day. One of the things I don't have specifically in the presentation, which I want to mention from the outset, is in Fisher's most recent housing study, the number one recommendation is to encourage senior housing options. And while we try not to use the word senior, that's what, we're in that category, we're 55 plus. So, I think we really think we've got a product here that fits a perfect need of Fishers. I think it's at a great location for all the reasons that Megan talked about from the last 12 or 13 years of execution on the nickel plate code plan. So with further ado, I'll get rolling and I'll be brief and then available to answer questions. Okay, so this is that map. So that we took our cue from the nickel plate code and really wanted to follow the code, do what it said, which Megan summarized nicely. The massing and the orientation of this building comes right up the street like the code wants. It has heights to it. It establishes a presence, and it's part of what's called the downtown core, which is where you want density, whether you want things to happen, whether you want people living, you want parking, and you want retail and business opportunities. And so this plan that we've come up with, we think hits on all of those. So we take this very seriously. It will be a gateway along with the edge, and as the city continues to redevelop, it will be a gateway into the nickel plate district from I-69. It's a very prominent location, but we think we got the architecture right. We worked through many iterations with Browning Day and with Mayor Fadness and with Megan Baumgartner's input. Also some input from the council as we tried to just sort of work on the right spot, the right design. We think we've got it. This isn't final by any means, so we'll continue to work on it. We'll go through the nickel plate review process, but we think we've got something that'll really be sort of generational for Fishers going forward. And to use those words, smart, vibrant, and entrepreneurial, we think this building will signal that as you come into Fishers for generations to come. So what do we mean when we say active adult living? Today's 55 and older demographic, which I am one of those, is more active and engaged than ever. And so they want a community, a lifestyle community where they can truly thrive. And that means different things for different people. But for a lot of people, that means they want to be with the same aged folks. They're healthy, they're wealthy, and they just want an easier lifestyle. And so that's what this product is all about. This product doesn't have a cafeteria, doesn't have any services other than we have our concierge services, kind of the resort style services. But it's not like independent living or assisted living. This is a Class A apartment with amenities focused and curation of activities focused on people that are 55 and older. So who's that target renter? It's somebody who wants Class A living. They don't need to or want to engage in the continuum of care discussion. They know where their doctors are. They know where they can drive to them. They don't want to be right next to them. They want to be in a spot that is close to the action. So they don't want to really discuss, get involved in that continuum of care discussion. When a person gets to that age, they'll need that, but this is not the target renter that we're trying to attract. The Class A market rate, quality, amenities, location, we've got that here. They want neighbors who are their own age, and if you want to do a wine tasting at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, you do a wine tasting at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. So that's it's just something that Mr. Dreamer says. Just joking, looks, I see you laughing. But the Del Webb communities are this for ownership, and so it's the same type of thing, but it's a renter by choice, which is my next point here. These are renters who want to rent. They don't want to own, and a lot of times they're coming from out of the area to be near adult children, which really means they're coming to be close to their grandchildren. And if you look at the ratios, Hamilton County, every community in Hamilton County has ratios that are very indicative of older. People across the U.S. moving to Fishers or Hamilton County to be close to their grandchildren. And so we think this is a perfect spot for those. And then lastly, that renter who's a snowbird who goes away in the winter, but when they come back, they don't want ownership. They just want to rent when they come back. So we think that'll be a bit of a paradigm shift going forward as well, which this product will serve. Just a couple of bullet points when you think about who these residents are. That first one is from Buxton, who does a lot of retail retail studies and so forth across the country. And I'll read this. Not only are baby boomers the wealthiest generation, holding 70% of disposable income in the U.S. and spending over $548 billion a year, but they also spend more than any other generation across all categories. And so why that's important to the vision of the nickel plate code is you're dropping that, all around our downtown restaurants and our downtown shops, that spending power. And I'll try to speed up a little bit. I'll just read one more of these. And again, this is from CBRE, a publication they put out last year called The Era of the Active Adult. And CBRE said, active adult, which is the product we're talking about, is a new generation of housing targeting the healthiest and youngest segment of seniors. So that's what we're trying to attract to downtown Fishers. High ground living, that's just the concept that we're at every turn. This is now the asset is there. And this is our property management philosophy. It's every turn, life is easier when you live at this active adult product. And so we everything we think about, we sort of, as Fishers sort of filters everything through the lens of smart, vibrant, entrepreneurial. We filter every decision through the lens. Are we making life more livable and more convenient and just better for our residents? These are activities. I will speed over this. I mean, you could probably pick up pickleball in some projects. This one will not have pickleball on the third floor, courtyard, but it will have bocce. This will have a pool. There'll be gardening clubs, book clubs, life story exercises, speech classes. I mean, just all kinds of things. Whatever. Basically, we curate what our residents are interested in doing. So if someone wants to teach, cooking classes, then we'll help curate that and make that happen for them. Okay, so this is important technical detail here. So oftentimes on city council, you probably hear, is it age restricted? Is it age marketed? What's that mean? This is age restricted by federal law. So what we are doing is we're discriminating against young people, which is unconstitutional to discriminate based on age, except there's a federal law that says if we restrict it to 55 and older by marketing it and operating it as an age-restricted facility, and at least 80% of our leases are with leaseholders who are over 55, then we meet that exemption. And our house rules will actually say that no one under 45 can live there. We can also do that, and no children can live there. So it truly will be active adults living there. A quick input as a legislative body to understand that these projects have lesser impact on traffic because not everybody's going to work at the same time. Folks who are still working will go at different times, will work from home. They may decide to eat lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or just do brunch in the morning and not a lunch, so they'll be out at different times. And I should have flipped this around. There is definitely no negative impact on schools because there are no school-age children. But as Megan said, there actually is a positive impact on schools with the way the TIF structure works in Indiana, in that the referendum of the school is not captured by TIF. And so that's that $180,000 or so that Megan referenced. And then, resident spending power, which I mentioned, and just lower impact on utility systems. Even the ITE traffic manual references a lower number of trips, and that means a lesser impact on streets than a typical Class A project. Just some highlights. It's about 184 units, 1 and 2 bedroom, maybe some studios, which we don't usually do in our prototype, but we may do in this downtown setting. That number may move around just a little bit as design progresses. Our development team, we're the developer at T&H Construction, which is a related company, and we'll do the construction. Browning Day has been a tremendous team player on our design team and has gone through several iterations with us, has been by our side for over a year coming up with this concept. That picture to the left, and I have a video which I'll show you as I wrap up, but the picture to the left is the outdoor restaurant space, which is intentionally on the south side of the building, so it's not on 116th Street. So we think that can really be a really nice oasis to attract a very high-end restaurant on the corner there at 116th and Lantern Road. If we get approval of the project, which we're asking for approval of the project agreement tonight, we'll move forward with design immediately. It's a lot to design, but we hope to get that done in about 9 months. Break ground on the construction of the garage in early next year. We have a year up there. Hopefully we can get it done quicker than that. But all said and done, if we go now, we're not still not opening until the third quarter of 2026. So it's a heavy lift ahead of us. Let's see. Oh, the restaurant. So I mentioned the high-end restaurant space. We're really going to save that space in the corner for something marquee there. It has just tremendous views, lots of glass, similar to what's in the community center that you saw earlier. It really focuses on that natural light in there. And then we think that outdoor seating to the south is going to be really special and something unique in Fishers. This is just a site plan looking down, so if it was built and you're looking straight down, to the north, 116th Street, to the west is Moore Street, to the east, Lantern Road, and to the south, South Street. So for orientation, the project that you'll look at after our project today is just south of us there. This is where I wanted to mention, you see all that white space on the roof. The dots are condensers. We are into relatively serious discussions with Telamon out of Carmel to look for solar opportunities on that rooftop because it's so plain and flat. It could be a real opportunity for us to almost power all of our common area needs with solar, which I think would be the first in Fishers, if not Hamilton County. And Telamon, being a local company, has really has been great looking at that. And we think perhaps some of the more recent federal legislation is making it economical so that it's at least a break-even proposition for us, which we would likely do if it was break even. We just want to lose money, doing it. So we're excited about that opportunity as well. Amenities you would expect, it's high-end finishes like any Class A apartments. This is a rendering of an apartment from a project we have under construction in Westfield. 9-foot ceilings, granite countertops, just everything that you would expect in a high-end Class A apartment. These are some pictures. The top left is just looking at it from 116th Street, then from hovering kind of over South Street, looking down at the third level, which is where the pool is. So the way this building will function is a lot like Nickel Plate Station with the way that garage sets, so it'll look like that. And then the 7th floor is this rooftop amenity on the building, which you see there on the bottom right-hand side. So that is it. You can see more about it at livecityview.com. And if Megan could hit play on the video, and then I'll. And if not, you can just take my word for it. It was super impressive.
So is the website.
Yeah.
I don't know if it came through. Was it on their presentation?
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so yeah, so I can send it all to you. But it's basically a fly around of that same building, which you can kind of see it. The one thing that you can't really pick up from this view is that the east end of the building is intended to be very different architecturally from the rest of what's in downtown. And then as you move to the west and get closer to the First Internet Bank building, that last sort of tranche of the building pulls in some red brick, so that it then does tie around the corner and match the First Internet Bank building. But I just close on behalf of Hageman Group and High Ground, particularly our development company. We appreciate the opportunity, super excited about investing further in Fishers, and look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Now, want to go back to what's also important beyond just the vision of all of this with the incentives and the, oh crap. Did I break it, Tracy? Oh, okay.
Shouldn't have to do that.
Okay.
While you figure out the technical piece, I do have a question. So I'm super excited about the sustainability pieces with the EV charging stations and the solar panels. Just out of curiosity, are the EV charging stations, are those going to be open to the public or just to the residents? And I think that's a question for Tom. Sorry.
There'll be a combination of both. Yeah. So
Perfect.
There's 280 spots in the garage. 80 of those will be public, and there'll be charging stations there. And then there'll be also charging stations that are specifically for the residents.
Awesome.
It's a great question, Crystal. We've noticed we're temporarily housing First Internet Bank's garage. They have, I think, 8 or 9 charging stations, and I see cars there all the time now, and
Right.
people from all over Fishers that are just going there to use that
Right.
infrastructure. So more will be needed over time, and it's
Definitely.
nice to put those in the garages for sure.
It's a thing for the future, for
Absolutely.
sure. Thanks.
I'll show you in a second.
I'll be back.
Okay. So the incentive overview. So with this project, we anticipate a couple of bonds that'll be issued with this. One will be developer purchase. So Hageman via High Ground, they will be an entity that they will capture the assessed value and bond against that for their developer purchase bond. And then we do anticipate a city-backed bond as well to go towards some of the public infrastructure improvements that need to happen in this area. The other city contribution is that we will donate the land. So we actually met with Rotary this afternoon and are talking about the park that is on that corner and contributing that into this development area. And one thing in particular I want to call out, they are paying all of their fees, permitting waiver, nothing will be waived, and they'll be paying all of that. So between the two bonds, we're anticipating about $25 million. Again, total project investment is about $89 million. And so I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Megan?
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a few questions, comments. First of all, I want to go back to when you went through the history of the nickel plate code. One thing that I really want to emphasize to the public is that that code continues today to be updated and reviewed by the administration, this body, the Nickel Plate Review Committee, the Plan Commission, and all of those bodies and the administration are always seeking public input and comment as we develop that code and refine it to meet the residents' needs of today. I want to state that on your presentation, you stated that 3 businesses were closed. I can tell you, I know at least one of those closed due to retirement. He's like, I'm done. I was going to say, so it wasn't necessarily that we had that many businesses that closed. Some of them, they were just getting ready to retire and to close down anyway. So I'm glad to see the expansion and the promotion of small businesses that this project brings. I'm looking forward to the energy. I think it'll help out our walkability. I think that this meets the 2040 plan by increasing the senior housing within our community. And I think that one of the things that we need to look at, because I know we're going to get questions on this, especially is the traffic along 116th Street. How do we address, you know, I know they say that it's going to be, these people will set their schedules, but we're going to have retail there. We're going to have restaurants there. How do we address the needs and the concerns of the community members that will be concerned about the traffic along 116th Street?
Sure, that's a great question. So we were really intentional with the developer that there were no curb cuts along 116th Street. So if you look back at the aerial today, I think we counted 3 or 4 different curb cuts that currently go from Moore Street and then throughout this development. All of those will be closed up, so it'll just be Moore Street and Lantern Road. So we're, again, with the improvements on South Street that we made 5-6 years ago, being able to punch that across the Nickel Plate Trail, I mean, we're really improving the access in that area, but in terms of safety along 116th Street and no impacts to anything there, we're streamlining the amount of access points, which engineering will tell me constantly that the less curb cuts, the better in that area. So again, with the street design that we have incorporated into the Nickel Plate Code that'll be utilized here, it'll be very similar to what First Internet Bank has in terms of that wider sidewalk, tree grates. There's a lot of, even though it's bumped up and close to 116th Street, there's very much a feeling of safety by allowing that distance with some of those improvements. So that's a great question. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I want to add to that. Mayor, I'd like you to start thinking about the I-69 116th Street Bridge. We have the event center going in, some new developments in the market, and these two, along with the what was it, City Walk? Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I remember I-69 106th Street Bridge, it seemed like that took 8 years, 6 or 7 years. So maybe we should start thinking today about an improvement there, because you've got a crossover going east and, opening it up so more people can move off 116th on I-69. So
Sure, I appreciate that, and you and I have spoken about how important 106 and I-69 interchange was to relieving traffic. So if there's an opportunity for improvement at 116th and I-69, I certainly want to look at that. Also, longer term, we want to take a look at South Street as it enters into Lantern. That'll be a point of concern, or what areas that we want to look to improve. And we had a good conversation the other day on Lantern Road about pedestrian connectivity too. So all that needs to come to bear as we think about a broader project like this and redevelopment of our downtown.
Other questions? Go ahead.
Megan, first of all, thank you for the history lesson. I think that's important, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. You presented it beautifully, but it's also a good reminder for all of us, and it's an opportunity for us to communicate well to our citizens who really want to be a part of the development of downtown and want to be a part of this vision. So seriously, thank you for that. That was time very well spent, and I appreciate it. A couple notes from me. I love how this project is in alignment with our housing study. Having age restricted, 55 and plus, still have a problem with 55 considered senior, but I'll get past that. That is on point to what that housing study that we paid for told us as a huge recommendation for our city. So I'm very grateful about that. Another note, I'm really glad that you also went back and talked about the small businesses that have been affected over the years. We do need to take a minute today and explain that this project does affect some small businesses that have their home currently in Fishers. And I know you've done a good job, you even said like putting your arms around them and helping them, shepherd them to new opportunities.
Yeah.
And that is really important and very valued by our community.
Yeah, that's a great point. So within that nickel plate small business slide that I had, so within that, I believe right now there are 9 or 10 small businesses that are either in those smaller strip centers or the 2-story office building at the corner of South Street and Lantern Road. That's a multifamily, it's mixed use, or it's a multifamily and apartment complex. So with those 9, so Fritz has properties on the east side of South Street, and so he's been able to relocate several of his tenants into those existing buildings, and so those numbers are truly captured in there. There's 1 or 2 that are TBD that are within that area. One person was actually able to purchase a home in Pendleton and relocate their hair salon up there. So I think the impact of that might be 1 or 2 businesses. But again, with Shelby's project that we're going to talk about in a minute, and then other opportunities that exist within our core downtown, our history is pretty solid of being able to maintain our existing small businesses and a good track record of keeping them still in the nickel plate district.
Thank you. That is very important, and I'm especially in tune to our retailers as well. And just one final note about that, it's important to acknowledge how the new development has affected small businesses or legacy businesses that have been here. But frankly, what's even more important is how are we creating a new environment for small businesses and especially retailers. We know retailers add to the vibrancy of a place. So I appreciate that, and especially your note about Rotary Park. I think we all have a fondness of that. The last thing I need to mention, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, when we talk, and I'm glad you translate it this way, when we talk about TIF, using TIF for a project like this, it's been a good practice to be able to put a dollar amount of what HSE schools receives. That is, and I think you noted 180,000
between the 2 projects. This one in particular is 118,000, 708,000 per year.
So, right, that's very important, but I must make a note that is through the referendum. And the referendum's on the ballot in November, and that revenue will be realized by them if the referendum is renewed this year. I just want to make that point.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Pete. Do I have a second? Second by Todd. All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Pete, it's
District
much
South.
shorter this time around, I promise.
Use the restroom for a minute.
Intermission, maybe after this one. District South, so on the south side of South Street, like we mentioned in that master plan and concept plan, Rebar Development, Shelby Bowen, who used to work for the city of Fishers many years ago, has done a ton of great projects in Hamilton County and Central Indiana, is a great partner. He went out and started purchasing some of these houses. And so on the left side, you'll see some of the photos. So if you were able to go out there before those homes were demolished, they were in pretty rough shape. Even a trailer was in the back of that. So when you look at the previous site conditions compared to what you'll see in Shelby's presentation, I think this is another really, really exciting project. And again, completely fits in within our master plan of our nickel plate district. One thing that I do want to highlight within this development in particular is Shelby was very, very committed to speaking with the residents in this area. So back in April, we hosted a town hall that Shelby led all of the residents in Heritage Meadows, the redevelopment of Gradison along Morgan Drive and Meadows were all invited to participate, as Shelby talked a little bit about how he had assembled those properties. At that time, there was no concept plan, and really to hear from them what their concerns are of having a redevelopment happen there. I mean, it is a pretty significant size. And so he has been amazing at going out and meeting with those neighbors. If people know that Shelby will talk to me. Shelby will be the one that, and has gone out and walked the site, been able to mark things off on a site plan of areas of interest and of concern. And so I really do want to talk about and give him credit for that April meeting, and then we just hosted one a week ago as well to walk them through the site plan and concept plan that we'll show you tonight. So similar to Tom, I'm going to let Shelby do the talking. You're welcome, Pete. And Tracy, so I don't mess it up again, how do I pull it over?
We still love you, Megan.
Thanks.
We do.
I'm going to have a complex, huh?
No, you won't.
Oh, right.
Before, while you're doing that, Shelby, I just want to let you know, one of the public comments tonight that were sent to us reflected your outreach to the community with respect to this project. Just wanted to let you know we certainly appreciate, and certainly a resident really appreciate that as well.
It's a PDF, right? Well, or it's online, it's easier. Can we go to the Prezi link? Go to the Prezi link. Because it's more fluid than, that's okay. It's just, I think if you just click on this. No.
Just do the PDF.
Okay, no problem. This one or this one?
The top.
The PDF's fine, no problem.
It was where you were before.
Killing me.
Way to go.
You
Tell
think
him,
so?
Tracy.
Sorry. He owes me. It's all right. PDFs are a little tricky because we have to drag them over here.
And I will be much more brief. I'm not as smart as Tom. He's, it's tough to follow him, and that project is amazing. My boys are at home watching, and secretly I'm glad that Tom's video didn't play because they'll be saying, Dad, where was your video? Those were so cool, especially they saw Jake's and are excited about that. So thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. My name's Shelby Bowen. I'm president and owner of Rebar Development. We are, our entire business model is built around public-private partnerships. Every project that I have participated in from the development perspective or municipal side since 2005 has been a public-private partnership. 100% of the projects in my real estate development career have been public-private partnerships. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to request a partnership with the city of Fishers. So what's interesting is I sat in the back thinking about the evolution of Fishers. It was really fun to see Megan go through that, and Tom and I reminisce about our time here and some of the small parts we played. What brings me here tonight is as a result of your investments and the stuff even that was here on the agenda tonight, you have created a really dynamic demand for people that want to be here, both employers, employees, residents, visitors. People really want to be a part of what's happening here in Fishers and specifically downtown. And so our goal was to be a part of that. And so we are always looking for key areas. Where can we find a place to do something dynamic that could be a unique public-private partnership? And Megan showed you the site that we're going to look at tonight, which is on South Street. I would say sometimes we say it's hiding in plain sight. This one really wasn't even hiding. It was just difficult land assembly. So over the course of the last year, we really talked and spent a lot of time there talking to the folks who own those properties and neighbors, and were able to acquire those and approach the city about a project. So then the challenge became, how can we best develop that site consistent with the city's vision and try to be thoughtful about the neighbors? And really, so what is the highest and best use, considering there's strong demand for commercial and office, strong demand for residential, but in this particular area, I think scale is more important than some of the other projects we've seen. And so the city really said, hey, we want to see you contemplate all of those things thoughtfully as you look at designing this site, and we think we've accomplished that. So, do I have control over this, or? Okay, awesome. Trying to look to see, this is not the presentation. This is the different rendering packet. But while we get to the presentation, which has some bullet point items, yeah, this is just the rendering packet. It's the other one that I sent to Megan. But this is the site which Megan showed earlier. It includes 7 properties that we acquired, and we're requesting that the city donate a portion of a parcel that they own. We're requesting about a half acre of that to be contributed to this project. And as we look for the other presentation that's got the bullet points, I can talk through this site plan. And we've already talked about traffic, and one of the things that we thought was important was being thoughtful about this entrance off of Moore Street. So if you have spent any time over here on South Street, and we've spent a lot of time, and we talked to engineering, between Moore Street becoming busier, South Street becoming busier, the parking garage with First Internet Bank, and then now also what Higher Ground is proposing, we were trying to think to ourselves, thanks, Megan, you know, how can we be thoughtful about how traffic navigates our development? And what was exciting for us is as we thought about a one-way entrance in to eliminate some of the traffic at that particular point of this intersection, it also gave us an opportunity to create some exclusivity, more of a neighborhood feel, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here with District South. We want to distinguish ourselves as a really cool downtown walkable neighborhood. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that works. Thank you. See, now that my kids might be impressed with the way that flowed. Is there a way I can pull it up here? Like on the laptop? So, project facts. I can't see very well. I mean, I know the facts, but I don't want to say them in relation. So, I don't have it on here. Now, perfect. No, I'm fine. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make it work. Okay. I am building the anticipation here quite a bit on this project. Not by design. Hopefully my kids aren't watching because they're going to say, Dad, what happened to you tonight?
I think this is part of your thing. Every city council, wherever you go,
Goodness.
you do. Yeah,
I hope not, because this is not fun for me. This project includes 20,000 square feet of office, but really what's important here is that was really led by Annex Group's desire to be in downtown Fishers. Kyle Bach, owner, and his team of executives and employees. Currently, they have a building in downtown Indianapolis that they've outgrown. And when they started thinking about, okay, we can reinvent this headquarters for our, not just the team we have today, but how can we grow? They reached out, I think, to Megan or Scott first, and then we were lucky enough to get connected. And I have a lot of respect for Kyle and his team. I know the quality of work they do nationally. And so they were really the impetus to creating a dynamic urban village around them as the anchor tenant. So I'm happy to say they've committed to move into District South. They'll take approximately 13,000 square feet of this building and bring their jobs and salaries, which are strong, and their really goals for growth. That was one of the leading things for them choosing here, is not just from a recruitment perspective, but we have designed this project in a way where they can grow within the building. The other thing that I love about this office space that's included in District South is one of the properties we acquired was Osborne Insurance. Chris and Jen, who have been doing business in downtown Fishers for a long time, and when we talked to them about, hey, okay, how can we work together? What's your goal? And they said, we would love to be in downtown. Let's see what you're thinking. And when we sat down and talked about that, it really was great to be able to come to an agreement. They're going to be in one of our District South buildings. And one of the things that I love about how that came to fruition too is they're going to be what I call Main and Main. They'll be on the corner of Moore Street and South Street, a very prominent place in the building. So it's not like we said, we'll put them in the back on the top floor. And so they're excited to be really a key piece of this, not just on the front end, but as it comes to fruition. You've heard a lot of talk tonight about the 7 small business suites. Rebar Development is a small business here in downtown Fishers. We're in the Braden building. My wife and I and my real estate partner own the company, and it's been an amazing spot for us. And I aspire for any company to have that, what I think is an advantage to be here. And so when we were designing this, and when we say small business commercial suites, I'm thinking about it as a tenant as well. And that's what we've done here. We're going to structure these leases in a way that there's very little barrier to entry. They'll be completely built out spaces, move-in ready. The rent will be pretty much all inclusive, so there's no triple net and trying to think about risk and exposure, and they'll be relatively short-term leases, anywhere from 1 year on up. And so it's just a perfect place to welcome small businesses to our project. And as I said about Osborne Insurance, 4 of the 7 suites are right on South Street. Very prominent locations, right in the mix, great street parking, but also all of the amenities that the neighborhood has to offer. There are 82 residential units. What I think is unique about this is when we sat down with the city, they were really emphasized a good mix and a lower density. We could probably, as you know from past projects, we could probably have 3 times to 4 times as many residential units on this site. This site has 5 buildings, and so I think it's unique that we've been able to do that. One of the other important things, and you'll hear talk from the stakeholders, is connecting Cheney Creek Trails, what I call it. I've been calling it that for a long time. Is that an official name? Cheney Creek Trail, connecting that to Nickel Plate Trail. Over and over again, we heard folks that live south of here say, hey, we'd really like a new and safe connection to the Nickel Plate, so we're going to accomplish that. The development will be anchored by a really nice courtyard and plaza for our residents that's also hopefully welcoming. I want to think about it as like a great outdoor living room for people who come and visit District South. $32.5 million total project cost. You've seen the site. We did not include the RMG parcel. They've got a nice building. They're a good business. They're good guys, and they want to be a part of what's happening here. And so we're going to be good, friendly neighbors, and they're going to have a great spot on what will be the new connection to the Cheney Creek and Nickel Plate Trails. Site plan we've talked about. The buildings on the, what I would say, the exterior 4 buildings, I think buildings 1, 2, 4, and 5 are 3-story buildings, which is the minimum height requirement by code. And we designed these in a way to try to be as least impactful to the neighbors on all sides. The apartments and living rooms and balconies are all facing inward. We've tried to pull them back from the property lines further than required by the setbacks, and we'll do pretty robust plantings and trees and grass and really well-maintained buffers as requested by a lot of the neighbors. We, much like Tom, tried to pull a little bit from the First Internet Bank building, which is extraordinary in its design, in my opinion, and all of our rebar projects traditionally reflects just quality materials, stone, brick, black balconies and storefront, and hopefully a timeless architectural look. This would be looking from, if you were standing on South Street looking at what will be the courtyard and plaza. This is more demonstrative than actual detail, but hopefully just as inviting as an outdoor plaza for this building and the neighborhood. This is standing at Moore Street at our entrance, looking at the east facade of the anchor building that will house Annex and a few other of our tenants. This is one of the smaller buildings that include the small business commercial suites. This is standing on the corner of Moore Street and South Street. So they have parking on South Street and right in front of the doors on what will be an extension of Moore Street into our neighborhood. Great signage, really cool spot, great build-outs, and there's no expense spared to really accommodate small businesses in this project. This is looking, if you are on the Cheney Creek Trail, as you pass by and look in between the two buildings, this is the west facade. A little bit of an aerial. I think our architects took some liberties with the tree maturity here, but our goal is to get back to what it once was and even better. When we talk to a few of the neighbors, you see some evergreens. Those are purposely designed based on their desire to create a little bit more of a buffer. And you see the trail connection that comes up on the west side of our buildings and will cross South Street. We've requested to work with the city to do a raised crosswalk similar to the Nickel Plate Trail, and then our residents, visitors, and everybody who uses that can cross safely and then reach the Nickel Plate. And this is just another view from the looking from the west. We've talked about why this project and why we think it's important, and the road we've taken to get here. Certainly redeveloping a key area in downtown. We're thrilled to have the opportunity, and we take that responsibility seriously and are excited about what it can become. We've talked to the neighbors. I've had a virtual meeting. I've met many in person, had a virtual meeting with the folks at Gradison and South Village, and then 2 virtual town halls with Heritage Meadows, and again, have met many in person. Some of the things they've talked about are sidewalk connections, crosswalks, buffers. We are going to connect Gradison's South Village sidewalk over to the Cheney Creek Trail. Right now there's a gap there that crosses on what's property owned by the city, and we're going to include that in our development proposal to the city, because that was just something simple that they said, hey, right now we have to take our strollers and bikes out onto the street and then get on Heritage or Cheney Creek. And so you'll see little details like that where we took feedback from folks. Like the carports on the south side are purposeful because they really are creating a buffer, almost like a privacy fence. And they've challenged us to do more to make it look more architectural than like the back of a garage, and we're excited about exceeding their expectations. They're interested in high quality projects and great architecture, which is consistent with my investment, and we need to distinguish ourselves from all of the great places to live and work in Fishers, and we'll do that through all the details. And then, of course, small business opportunities. Timeline, we hope to seek your approval tonight. Annex and others are eager to try to move here, so we're going to try to operate with a sense of urgency, close on the project agreement this fall, and have Annex working out of the District South in January of 25. So hopefully have your support and certainly can answer any questions.
Thank you, Shelby. I bring back up. Again, incentives here, very similar to the Hageman project. Well, I don't know how to bring it back up again, Tracy. It's delightful.
Yeah, I need my steps. Let's see.
While Tracy brings that up, so this will be a city-backed bond. So
Which one was it?
Voluntary annexation is at the end. Just wave the white flag.
Okay. A city-backed bond, proceeds are expected to be about $9.4 million for that.
Shelby and Rebar, yes, that's perfect, thank you. Rebar does intend to pay all local permitting and inspection fees, nothing will be waived. And then as part of that, there is a Heritage Meadow Park that the city owns that we would contribute towards the development as well. So happy to answer any questions as well as Shelby.
Well, just a comment. These homes that you bought, there were nobody living in these homes that you acquired. You're not displacing, and the one business is moving into this
There was one family in the yellow house that was eager to move, so we really, they were excited about our
Because
partnership.
I went through those houses, it looked like something from Breaking
There were
Bad.
some that had been vacant
I
for
mean-
many, many years, and the first one we purchased, the greenhouse was vacant, and then all the rest towards the west were all vacant, and were really dangerous, which is why we demolished them as soon as we acquired them.
Any questions?
Small business consideration, so there's space available to them, but it's one thing to have space available, another to have it actually accessible and viable for a small business. Can you speak to that just a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure. So we'll have 4 ground level on South Street, the suites that I indicated in the smaller buildings. 2 of those are 850 square feet and 2 are 1,300 square feet. And they'll be fully built out, so no tenant improvement allowance unless there's something specific that they want to add and build out for themselves. We're happy to try to accommodate, but otherwise fully built out and all-inclusive rent with the exception of their electrical and their internet. So we'll include in their rent all of the incidental things that sometimes can burden small business owners, speaking from experience, and then shorter term leases, 1 to 3 years, just really depends on use and my credit and all the typical lease-driven decisions.
As a small business owner, those are all very helpful. Okay, good to
So,
know. Thanks.
Megan, on this, are we expecting most of the traffic for this to be on South Street as opposed to 116th Street? Because again, I know we're going to, especially with 2 projects here, be getting feedback from residents regarding the traffic on 116th Street. Could you speak to that, please?
So with that, with it being on the south side of South Street, we made all of those improvements along South Street. So Shelby's development, he's been working really, really hard with our engineering department about the flow of the site and the access points off of South Street. Excuse me. So I'm sure there will be some people or residents or employees or visitors of these businesses who will come from 116th Street, but since it's not on 116th Street, it shouldn't be a significant increase. But again, to Scott's point earlier, this is making our team look at our thoroughfare plan and the overall impact, especially at the intersection of Lantern and Lantern and South Street. So we'll make sure that through our technical advisory committee process, our internal reviews, that all of that is looked at.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
No other questions. I'll make a motion to approve, but I want to remind Shelby and Tom, I think John and I were the only 2 council members that were here when we hired both of you. So,
I second.
John, I just had a couple quick comments.
Sure.
I really appreciate the fact that you've have this concept for the small businesses and the low entry to the low barrier to entry. I would like to suggest working with the city to provide maybe along the trail signage, arrows that would help people that are walking along the trail maybe say, oh, here's a business, here's a restaurant. I think it would enhance the walkability experience, and then people could say, I could stop here for this or that. I think more signage along the trail to help promote these businesses that are there in the nickel plate and along the trail would help. I'd also would like for you to also, you mentioned it, just enhancing those carports. Those were a few things that people emailed me on, enhancing the architectural features or materials so that the longevity, it's just as nice as your finished, buildings.
I have a motion by Pete and a second by Selena. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Shelby, congratulations.
Thank you.
Move on to item 15, 051523C, an ordinance of the Common Council regarding a public safety nuisance.
Thank you, Council. Lindsay Bennett, City Attorney. I'm here with Chief Gebhardt. I do not have a PowerPoint or a video tonight. I'm just here on second and third reading for the public safety nuisance. We were here last week and spoke at length on first reading of what the public safety nuisance does and the purpose of it. I did want to point out a couple of revisions, or I guess edits that we had. And that is exempting out medical facilities, schools, and government buildings, as well as including the possibility of inspections of the properties for the purpose of assessing remedial and proactive measures as part of the remediation plan. We were also asked to give an update on what businesses or how many businesses would be affected if the ordinance was in place today. We did look at that data today. And we had 7 businesses that in the last 90 days have had seven businesses that have had 10 violations and 4 businesses that have had 15 violations. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just that I want to remind the council that this is a cooperative thing where we would like to get with business owners and businesses that are having issues within their businesses and try to get them so we don't spend a massive amount of resources continuing to go to businesses that we think can take steps within themselves to fix it. And also too, this is also about 5 and 10 years out. So today we're already seeing some businesses that we'd be out talking to, but I have a feeling that this would only triple, if not quadruple, if we don't do something in 5 and 10 years from now to protect our community from unnecessary resources going to continued businesses over and over again. And just thank you for your time.
We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
First, I'm sorry, Jocelyn, you can go. Sorry.
First of all, thank you for the extra data today. That was helpful for me. Question for you, Chief. The request today is to do final approval of this so that you can move forward. But I think you also shared with us that you have on your calendar some meetings already with some of the businesses that you want to start having conversations with right away. Is it more helpful for you for us to approve today and have that in place before you talk to the businesses, or have those conversations first and then have us approve? Just timing sequence?
I think timing sequence wise, we're setting this out for, there's going to be approximately another 90 days before this thing even hits green or go. And in that time, I think I'll have adequate amount of time to meet with businesses and become partners with them before. And I think that is also a warning enough. And then in 90 days or then some, we're going to reset it completely new, giving them the opportunity again to work with us and partner along the way. So I do not feel that's necessary.
Okay, so that's a really great point. So first of all, I'm hearing you like, yes, if we approve today, that would be what you would prefer. Zeroing out, so their demerits that they've collected goes to zero.
Right.
And also then, last question moving forward, every single service call counts. Is that?
I think every service call.
Every
service call counts, but there is an ability for a business to sit down with the public safety team to talk through what is happening in the business. And obviously, if there was something that we didn't think was fair or we wanted to impose a fine for, we would be humanly compassionate to say, okay, that doesn't count. And I'm sure we're going to come across those, but again, the effort here is not to fine, the effort's to work with our community.
Good. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
I was just going to add that we continue to be ranked one of the safest places in the nation, right, to live, and that's because of initiatives like this. I don't want to make it exaggerated to any degree, but at the same time, when you're collaborating, there's 2 choices in policing. There's let's go just catch, or there's collaboration, partnership, and then if somebody's continuing to violate, that's a different story, right? That's because we've tried everything we can and you're not complying. So I just think this is outstanding. It's another step toward making Fishers the safest place to be in this nation, and kudos. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, our job as council is we want to give you all those tools to succeed, and I feel like we have as a body, and we'll continue to do that.
I agree.
Other questions? If not, I'll
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Pete, second by Selena. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Moving on to item 16, amendment to Chapter 51 of the City of Fishers Code regarding sewer use.
Thank you. For the record, Lisa Bradford, City Controller. The item before you is first reading to amend the City of Fishers sewer ordinance, and what this item does is align the late fees. As you'll recall, when we bought Hamilton Southeastern Utilities at the end of 2021, we kept everything as is. Their late fee structure was different than the City of Fishers, and so what this does is make it the standard 10%, which is what Indiana code says and what most utilities in Indiana are. So it's 10% of the late fee, or 10% of the fee. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? This is what this allows you to charge a 10% late fee going forward.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to have first reading. Let's move on. Thank you. Moving to item 17, planning and zoning. Consideration of text amendment to the various sections of the Nickel Plate Code.
Good evening, Megan Vukasich, Director of Planning and Zoning. I have one more item to discuss regarding our downtown Nickel Plate District. We've heard a lot about it tonight. I'll go over this briefly, but we have 4 districts that are codified within the Nickel Plate District Code. That would be our downtown core, which we discussed in detail tonight. The Municipal Center, which houses our fire department, our police station, and the new City Hall. Highway Center, which is where Target is, and really those businesses along I-69. And then the Village Center, where we're seeing a lot of commercial investment, or I'm sorry, residential investment. So this image shows the current boundaries of the Nickel Plate District. It's somewhat hard to see in this visual, so I apologize, but it's that dotted line. That's the existing boundaries of the Nickel Plate District. And what we're proposing tonight with this text amendment is to incorporate the technology park, the Northeast Commerce Park, within this Nickel Plate District. We've seen a lot of investment in our downtown area, and we're starting to see that kind of expand beyond that initial Nickel Plate District boundary, especially with the installation of the Nickel Plate Trail. And so with this text amendment, we just really want to expand upon the success we've seen in the downtown area. So here's the proposed zoning districts within the proposed Nickel Plate Code. The green shows the downtown core, the yellow is the village center, or I'm sorry, the municipal center, the orange is the village center, and then that purple is the new proposed technology center. Along with rezoning it to Technology Center, we're also introducing a new building type within the Nickel Plate District Code. So this code is a form-based code, so instead of regulating uses, we regulate building type. And so we really want to introduce this new technology building type within the code to accommodate the type of development we'd like to see, and really reflects the development that we have seen in this area. So one of the images is the Meyer Najum building. That's within the Nickel Plate District currently, but then also we have the rebar development that is within the technology park. So this is a great example of the type of investment we'd like to continue to see in this area. The downtown master plan, we've gone through that in detail. I'm not gonna rehash that. But it did not include this Nickel Plate or to this technology center area, because at that time that downtown master plan was done, we weren't considering the technology park as a part of that. And so it was not included in that initial downtown master plan. That was incorporated in 2014. In 2016, we adopted the Fishers 2040 plan. And so I do have shown here the future land use map from the Fishers 2040 plan. Most recently, we did a 5-year update in 2021. And the future land use map identifies this area as a flex employment center. And so I just wanted to show the side-by-side between our future land use map and the Fishers 2040 plan and the proposed zoning for this downtown area. And the flex employment calls for a campus setting and pedestrian environment with employment-intensive uses that allow existing buildings to be converted to high-tech office. That really summarizes what this existing technology park is and what we want it to continue to be. IoT Lab and Launch Fishers, where we're currently at, are great examples of that land use description. So we do feel that this proposed text amendment does codify the city's vision for this area, builds upon the success of the Nickel Plate District, and also the city's identity as a whole. There's been several public meetings and outreach as a part of this text amendment. So first, this came before you for first reading in April. It went to Nickel Plate Review Committee for just an informational item in April as well. We held a public outreach specifically for the businesses within this park on May 16th. Then there was a Plan Commission public hearing June 7th, and now we're back before you all for final reading. Plan Commission did give a favorable recommendation for approval by a vote of 6-0, and staff does recommend approval as well. This is a city-initiated item, so I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Megan? Not on it. Entertain a
Motion to
motion.
approve.
I have a motion by
Second.
Pete, second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Moving on to item 18.
This next item is for a first reading, so it's an introduction to council. This is a proposed text amendment to the Exit 5 PUD. What they're proposing is a amendment to the PUD that would allow for a creative sign package. So development of this type and size, this is specifically related to the Navient building, and it's not common that we see a development of this scale for one building, and so it's difficult to apply our existing signage standards to this property. So to address this, they're seeking a creative sign package. This is similar to what we've seen at the Yard, the Slate, and the Crossing at Fishers District. Those all have creative signage packages. The difference between those properties and this property is that this is located within a very old PUD ordinance that doesn't allow for that creative sign package approval. And so this is a text amendment to allow that process moving forward for this area. As I mentioned, this is an introduction to this item. I believe we have the petitioner with I4 Group, J.R. Knight, here to also speak.
As she mentioned, the old PUD classifies this as a single building development. Ownership is looking at this as a 5-tower multi-tenant development with multi-tenant directory signs at the entrances, as well as directional signs to get people where they're going. The current problem is for the primary tenant, they're entering through the primary entrance, and with 5 towers, they're just trying to get people where they're directed. Life safety is an issue as well. So we have a multi-tenant development proposition, and once again, the code kind of reads or looks at this as a single building, and the developer is looking at this as a 5-story building or 5-tower building.
Sure. Any questions for petitioner or Megan? Not?
Have first reading.
We have first reading. Thank you. Item 19, agenda. Consideration of text amendment to the Sandstone Gray Eagle PUD.
So this is a text amendment to, again, first reading, so it's an introduction tonight. This is a text amendment to the Sandstone Gray Eagle PUD. This would be to allow for a barrier netting system up to 160 feet in height for the Gray Eagle Golf Course Clubhouse. After tonight's meeting, a public hearing will be noticed to the surrounding property owners. I'm going to let the petitioner go over the specifics of the request, but I just wanted you to be aware that we will hold a public hearing. It is planned for August at this point with the surrounding property owners of this neighborhood. So with that, I'm going to introduce Stephanie Trushin with Krieg DeVault, who is representing the property owner, to introduce the item.
Good evening, Stephanie Trushin with Krieg DeVault on behalf of the Gray Eagle Development Team. As Megan mentioned, this is a text amendment to the Sandstone Gray Eagle PUD ordinance to allow for this barrier netting and to change the photometric plans as well. The original PUD ordinance only addressed residential design and development standards, so this amendment is necessary in order for us to address commercial development on parcel 9 only. The existing multifamily project that is part of a separate PUD is not affected by this, nor is any other residential in the area. This is, again, Gray Eagle Golf Course, so general location at Brook School Road and 126th Street. With the overall site plan, you can see kind of the outline of the barrier netting system, which is that dotted line around the green area, which is driving range. The netting, development partners worked with national experts to determine the height and the layout to ensure that surrounding property owners were safe from errant golf balls, that there wasn't anything going over on 126th Street. So I think there were a lot of discussions on the front end before this came before you tonight. And again, directional, just some photos of the clubhouse, which is being proposed there as well, but also changes to some directional lighting. So right now, there is direct lighting, which is creating some light pollution. As part of this PUD, there's a revised photometric plan which provides for indirect lighting to minimize some of that light pollution for neighboring properties. Development partners have already met with the HOA board for the area. HOA is supportive. We're continuing conversations with the neighbors, and we'll work, cooperatively with the neighbors in the city to get this all wrapped up prior to the August Plan Commission hearing. Happy to answer any questions.
And I'll certainly, I've met with the Gray Eagle Homeowners Association regarding this as well, and they certainly appreciate your outreach and the conversations. They seem very supportive of what you're doing.
Great, good to know, thank you.
Have first reading.
At first reading, thank you. Move on to item 20, request to approve a vacation of existing sanitary sewer easement at 13450 Dockside Drive.
Great, and the remainder items all do require public hearings, so I just wanted to point that out. So this next item is for a sewer easement vacation. This is a part of the event center construction. I've got the area, the existing sewer line to be vacated, identified there in yellow. We would ask that you suspend the rules and approve tonight after the public hearing on first reading, as we do own the sewer utility, and so all of the parties that need to be notified have been notified.
Okay. At this point on item 20, I'll open up for public hearing. Anybody wishing to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. See if there's not people coming forward, there's people leaving. We'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and approve on first reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by True, by Pete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item 21. Same thing. We'll just open up for a public hearing. Anybody wishing to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. Again, someone else leaving. Come on up. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Bill McClellan. I live at 9 Municipal Drive in the Nickel Plate District. I also still own a home with my kid's mom up at 141st and Cumberland in Woodbury. And the lack of the bridge there at 141 and 37 really is still an issue. Did I come up too early?
You did.
Yep, you
You
did.
did. So say,
Okay.
come back and we'll
I
have an
will come
open,
back.
you can come up in public comment, but thank you. I will close the public hearing and you can come up here in a moment.
Motion to suspend the rules and approve on
Second.
first
I
reading.
have a motion by Pete to suspend the rules, a second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
I'll
nay.
motion to approve.
A motion,
Second, I'm sorry.
motion by Pete, a second by Todd. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion's passed. Moving on to voluntary annexations.
Yes, this first item, it's for first reading public hearing, but this is a voluntary annexation of a few properties off of Florida Road.
Okay. Item 22, open up for public hearing. Anybody wishing to come forward, please state your name for the record. And no one's leaving this time, so I will close the public hearing. Have a motion to have first reading.
Have first reading.
We've had first reading. Move on to item 23, City Walk.
So this slide is showing items 23 and 24. This is for voluntary annexation related to the City Walk redevelopment. Property owners requesting voluntary annexation.
Okay, item 23, I'll open up for a public hearing. Anyone wish to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. If there's no one coming forward, I will close the public hearing. Can I have first reading?
Have first reading.
We've had first reading. Move on to item 24. Open up for public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one's come forward, we'll close the public hearing.
Have first reading.
We've had first reading. Any unfinished or new business? Moving on to community comments. Sir, come on up. And welcome again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now I see why I had all those confused looks on your faces.
That's all the time.
So the bridge at 141st. So there was a public comment or opportunity when the roundabout at Allisonville and 116th. There was a city representative talking to us there about that roundabout, and there was a question, why can't we finish the bridge first? And he was great answer. The money just doesn't work that way. It's in different accounts. There's the money we get from the federal government, there's the money we get from the state. And what happened with the bridge was that the city ran out of money. We've got those other pieces, and the roundabout was all federal, state funded. We weren't allowed. So that was a helpful explanation. But he went on to say, what happened with the bridge was that we had a contract that we could have signed. It was higher than we wanted. Inflation, was starting to go up there in the pandemic. And we could have signed it, but we wanted to wait and see if inflation died down. And then, of course, the next month, the contract was rescinded, and the new contract bid was just way too high. So we've had other big developments that the city spent money on. I don't know exactly how you can and cannot move money around, but I would like to see the bridge prioritized. I feel like it is a must-have for residents and businesses on either side of 37. And it's a big deal for those of us that are at that intersection quite a bit. So that is one thing that could we please prioritize, finishing that bridge with city money before we spend city money on other new nice-to-haves. The other thing I wanted to mention, I saw a sign on the Nickel Plate Trail. So I live at Flats at Switch, right there by the swings, the beautiful new swings. There was a sign about the app that we can now get for getting into Geist. And it said, get your app, Smart Pass, to get into Geist. And there will soon be many new opportunities to use this app. And that just kind of scratched my head, like, where else are we going to be paying $50 to park? Or are our friends from outside the city going to be paying $50 to park? So I'm specifically concerned about the garage where I live. Of course, I wouldn't be charged. I could get the pass. But people that don't live in Fishers, are they going to have to pay $50 to park in the garage at Flats and Switch? And what about the other lots, like the new ones in the Nickel Plate District? The new apartments have a lot, the police have a lot, and so the main events down there that bring lots of people in are the farmers markets and the concerts. So I would want to know, does the city plan on rolling that app out to exclude people who don't live in Fishers from parking in the Fishers District, in the Nickel Plate District lots, and anywhere else? So thank you.
Sure.
That app, and I really appreciate man in the back there, Tracy Gainer, came up with a really innovative technology that it's really access control. And so the hope and probably the hint that they're referring to is as we build the community center, if someone were a member, regardless of where you're from, you'd be able to just use your phone to go in, and maybe you've signed up for a cycling class. Well, you'd be able to just take your phone and walk in and go to your cycling class. So the idea here is more about that component than it is about the idea of controlling parking in downtown or anything like that. It really is an opportunity for us to create an ease of access for residents or members of the community center, or if someone, let's say they rent Holland Park for the weekend for a family event, you could allow them to have the opportunity to just use their phone for access. As for 37, we still intend to bid that this upcoming spring. Hopefully get some construction underway next year. We are sensitive to 146 in Allisonville. That is, anybody's been up there lately, it's a major construction bottleneck, and there's more to come as they really get into construction. So we certainly want to build 141st and 37. We are planning financially to have the wherewithal to do that. I will not do it at the sacrifice of everyone's ability to get around at 146 in Allisonville. So we got to coordinate those projects, and we're going to work through that. But we look forward to bidding that project this spring and getting it underway.
Anybody else wish to come forward?
I waited this time.
You did.
I did what he did.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm Brett Anderson. I still live at 8899 Mole Drive, and I was here last month, and we talked the Triangle, the Bermuda Triangle. And I'm here to say thank you to the mayor, and David. They got in touch with me. We spent an hour together looking at and witnessing some near misses on walking from South Point up to Lantern to all the beautiful stuff. So a lot of people complain about public government and stuff. I have nothing but good things to say for David for helping out. I'm on his newsletter now. I got it. And the only other aspect I would like to say, I love all the shiny new stuff, all the great high density. I would really prefer my nice low density neighborhood. I'll sit in my backyard. I'll look at my vine growing on the sound barrier. I'm not antisocial. I just don't want to hang out with a bunch of old people. So that's just my thinking. So thank you very much for everything.
Sure.
So thank
Dickie
you again.
left, he's not a client.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to come forward?
I just want to say thank you while he's coming up. Thank you for coming back in and reporting back something good. And I mean, in this world we live in, everything seems to get just completely twisted. Oh, absolutely. And so thank you for raising an issue and then coming back and you know, good job, David. Yeah, yep. All right.
Good evening. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, my name's Dan Owens. I'm from Brookhaven Drive, 12676, and I had put a comment in about the community center. Thank you, Councilman, for speaking with me. He took the time. I knew you were busy getting ready for this meeting tonight, but my main concern was the cost, and thank you, Councilman, for bringing that account. So I'm all for it, and I think of course, I think most of the Fishers is for this, but it just seems that it was kind of quick. I didn't find out about this until last week when the city put the announcement out. So that was my only concern about it, and also about the fee part of it. I personally go to LA Fitness, you know, and I first saw this, and I said, whoa, you know, why are we paying to go to a facility that the city is going to spend money on? So that was only my concern, and I just wanted to share that. I don't know if anybody else in the city has that concern, but I just wanted to share that. Thank you for your work in the city. I love being in Fishers. I moved here in 2017, retired from the Navy. So I came here on my own accord. I enjoy being here, living here, and thank you, Council, for your work.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, good evening. My name is Josh Huser. I serve as the president of the Avalon Master Association. My address is 12863 Shakespeare Way. One quick thing, I saw this evening they were talking about kind of aligning fees with the HSE transition from Fishers Sewer when Fishers took that over. One thing that's impacted our HOA is for our pool house, we were paying like $220 a month for sewer service fees. My understanding is that was on a discount program from HSE, which is no longer offered, and we're now looking at monthly fees of over $550 a month because of the discontinuation of that program. So we'd like to see if there's some sort of plans or something to put that back in place. The other thing is the pool house is used 4 months out of the year, even though we pay for 12 months of service, so it's some substantial cost. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll have to work on that one. Get back to you. I know I have your email address, though.
Yeah. Not your first time here, Josh. Anybody else? Tracy Gaynor, I want to say thank you for keeping us technologically on track. Since we've been over here, you do an outstanding job. I just want to say thank you for everything you do for us. Do I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor? Selena. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Have a great week.